If you're watching this, I'm guessing you're a restaurant owner or operator, and therefore you have been lied to for years. In fact, there are three lies in particular that I think are keeping you trapped. You want to know what they are? Number one, revenue cures all sins. Number two, this idea of hustle culture. No one can do it as well as me, so I'll just keep grinding. I'll do it. 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks. The third one, of course, is that we are victims of the model. Well, we just can't make money in restaurants. The labor's too high. The rent is crazy. We're at the mercy of our vendors with COGS. It's all garbage. Those three in particular are what's keeping this industry down. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do, this. So if you don't know me, my name is Chip Close. I am the founder and CEO of Restaurant Strategy. I'm a restaurant coach. I run a group coaching program for restaurant owners where I help them dial in profits so that they can ultimately grow. I put out content on every imaginable platform, including this one. And so there's tons of videos here, tons of great content to help you level up and build a more profitable, sustainable business. I got a podcast called the Restaurant Strategy Podcast. You're going to find links to everything down below. If any of this is interesting, I urge you to go find out all of the other things that we put out because it's all meant to help you. This video is about those three lies, right? The three lies that we're told over and over and over, and I was raised this way, and I'm sure you were raised this way. I want to work through them systematically and prove to you that it's all garbage. Number one, revenue cures all sins. It doesn't, right? So when we say, well, the only way to be profitable is to pound the register more and more and more and more. If I do enough revenue, then my labor model makes sense. If I do enough revenue, then it'll bring down my rent as a proportion or as a percentage of revenue. It's garbage. Of course, all businesses have a break-even point. There is a point. Yes, you need to be doing a certain amount of revenue, and most restaurants out there are well above that break-even point. So while I understand the power, the impact that revenue growth can have on the profitability of a business, I say revenue does not necessarily cure all sins. It often covers up a lot of sins, and I believe it. Prime cost, right? COGS and labor are our two biggest controllables in addition to revenue. So to say we're going to manage our controllable, which is revenue, but to ignore managing COGS and labor is doing yourself and your business a grave disservice. The three controllables in our business, I call them the three moving targets, are revenue, COGS, and labor. The reason our business is so difficult is because it's so difficult to predict those numbers. Who cares? It's hard. It's meant to be hard. And if it were easy, a lot more other people would do it. You think of how much competition we have in our industry. It would be harder if more people entered our industry. So hard keeps a lot of people away. And that's good. That's good for you. It's good for me. Here's the deal. Revenue does not necessarily cure all sins. It often covers up a lot of sins. So first, you have to understand you need a system for managing COGS and labor. Specifically, you need a system for assessing, for forecasting business and generating budgets for those two key areas of your business. COGS, so your spending, your ordering doesn't go over, and your scheduling, making sure that you never schedule over budget. Here, a good rule of thumb, you never post a schedule that's over budget. Number two, you never go into overtime, and I mean never. If that means you got a bunch of full-time people and a bunch of part-time people, so sometimes they work 15, 20, sometimes 25 hours per week, they are coming nowhere close to 40 hours per week. I think you are getting crushed by having all these people working 50 and 60 hours a week. And I know they're good, they're strong, they're reliable, and they need those hours. I mean them, no disrespect. But the business just doesn't sustain if you've got 4, 5, 6 guys in the back, for example, who are all working 50 or 60 hours a week. It is just not sustainable. So when it comes to managing your expenses, you need a way to keep your ordering and your scheduling under control. Having a piece of software, labor management software, so you can see in real time, you can make sure the budget is under budget or your schedule is under budget before you post it is absolutely crucial. You don't post it over budget and then try to cut all throughout the week. It just doesn't work. You can maybe shave a point, 2, 3 points off of your numbers, but you're never going to go from 40 to 30. You're never going to go from 38 to 32. It's not possible. You never post a schedule that's over budget, and you never run with overtime. If you are not doing either of those two things, just doing those two things, adhering to those two rules is going to change your business fundamentally. Getting a great piece of software, it almost doesn't matter what you use, but getting a great piece of software that can help you visualize it, putting checks and balances so your GM prepares the schedule, sends it to you for approval, or the floor manager, the service director sends it to the GM for approval. You need another set of eyes on there. Make sure you're giving budgets to front of house and back of house, so the chef and the GM, so that they know exactly what they need to do. And yes, sometimes front of house can help back of house or vice versa, but each of them have to know what their budget is. They work their best. They do their hardest to try to get under those numbers, and you never post it over budget. Likewise, on the COGS side, if you're not using a declining budget, I strongly urge you to do that. It's basically you got a budget when you start the beginning of the period, and as you spend money, your budget decreases or declines. And so you see every single day by the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, you see every day in real time how much is left in the budget. So you'll know 5-10 days ahead of time if there's going to be a cash crunch. That is one of the key ways you never go over budget. Keeping really tight pars, running inventory on key ingredients like proteins, produce, dairy every night or a couple of times a week will help you run tight. Keeping all this food on your shelves to potentially spoil is not doing anybody any favors. And I know you do it just in case, but it's crippling your budget. So revenue does not necessarily cure all sins. It covers up a lot of sins, meaning if you don't know how to forecast and budget, your COGS and labor, your prime cost are way out of control. You do that first. And then revenue growth is the kerosene we throw on an already profitable, sustainable business. So that's what I mean when I say revenue does not necessarily cure all sins. I understand the impact, but unless you've done the hard part of managing your expenses and coming up with a system so your people know how to stay within budget, the other part doesn't matter. All right, the second lie, right? This hustle culture. Nobody can do it as well as me, so I'll get in there. I'll run food. I'll clear dishes. I'll answer phones. I'll run the front door. I'll jump back behind the bar. It's a joke. That just shows how inept and inefficient you are as an owner. And I don't mean that as anything disrespectful, except as some tough love, because this is what I do with all of my clients, all of the P3 members, the people that I work really closely with. We always say, right, a great leader looks in the mirror before they look out the window. I didn't come up with that. That's Jim Collins from his key, brilliant business book, Good to Great. A great leader, he says a level 5 leader, looks in the mirror before they look out the window. They basically say it's all my fault, right? The buck has to stop somewhere, usually with the owner or a high-level operator. The buck stops there. So stop blaming your people. Stop blaming anything else, right? Oh, my people suck, so I got to come into the rescue. That might feel good for a little while, but you get into that rhythm, you get into a routine where you do that, and it's just not healthy for anybody because then you're stuck. Guess what happens when you go to open another location? You can't be in two places at the same time. So when you're at, location 2, location 1's going to suffer because they're used to you coming into the rescue. Instead, you set really good parameters for how you hire. You find people who have the capacity to do what you need them to do. You have a lights out, stone cold, brilliant training system that shows people what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and most importantly, it explains why it's important that they do it in the way that you've outlined. Right? That's a really great training program. Then you have your leaders model behavior and then coach in real time, redirect. When somebody does something right, you tell them right then and there, hey, I just heard you at that table. That was terrific. When you're on the line, say, hey, listen, that was perfect. Exactly how you played it that there. Or if they don't do it right, you say, hey, listen, remember we talked about X, Y, and Z, and I didn't hear any of that there. Hey, there's a problem here with this thing. Remember we've talked about this through training. I need you to do it again. Right? Redirecting, coaching in real time so that ultimately you don't have to be there. And then you teach your people, your key leaders, how to be accountable, right? How to be there in support of the people that they lead. Not to come in. Anytime a manager jumps in on Expo, jumps into clear tables, jumps in behind the bar, jumps on the line to cook, I go, that's a failure in leadership. This is a lack of systems and structure. You build the systems and structure so that you can multiply yourself. There's this idea of pouring yourself into others. If you can clone yourself, which in essence is what you're doing, you clone yourself to be a great GM, an AGM, a chef, a cook, a host, a prep cook, a server, a bartender. You clone yourself so that people can do what you want them to do in the way that you want them to do it, when you want them to do it, and they understand why, right? There's that book, Setting the Table by Danny Meyer. And in essence, that book is about a lot of things. It's about a memoir about a kid growing up who's all he wanted to do was own restaurants. But mostly, and I think the best part of the book is that period of time between when Danny opened Union Square Cafe and before he opened Gramercy Tavern. So you have to understand, Danny has, dozens, really hundreds of restaurants now if you include Shake Shack. But it was like 12 years between when he opened Union Square Cafe and when he opened Gramercy Tavern. And he basically says, I didn't know how to do it. And when he figured out how to do it, how to, duplicate himself, how to clone himself, and have people provide the same level of hospitality, the same quality of care, the same level of service, when he figured that out, he opens Gramercy Tavern and Tabla and 11 Madison and Blue Smoke and The Modern and on and on and on. All these different properties because something clicked. He figured it out. So this hustle culture, only I can do it. Nobody can do it as well as me. Everybody else is lazy. I'm the best. I'm tired of it. I strongly urge you to put that aside. It just shows how inept you are at truly leading your team. Surround yourself with a whole lot of people who are way better at what you need them to do than you could ever possibly be. And of course, then the third one, right? We are victims of the model. This is a really dangerous lie, right? Well, labor's high, rent's high, we're victims, we're held hostage by our vendors, right? We can't negotiate prices. Absolutely not. I'm going to assume that you are intelligent and passionate and capable. You could make a living doing a lot of different things. You could start a lot of different businesses. For whatever reason, you decided to start a restaurant business or run a restaurant business. And you saw it warts and all. You knew what you were getting into. And if you didn't know at the beginning, I'm guessing you certainly know now. Stop playing the victim. You can impact the kind of restaurant you have. You can build a concept. You can build a business model that works for you, that gives you the time you need, that pays you what you deserve. Don't get trapped into this thing, this is all we can do. If you got a fine dining restaurant and there's no money there and you want to be more casual, slowly turn your restaurant more casual or open another property or close and revamp this existing property, this existing concept as a more casual concept. If you are doing full service and you just can't make money and quick service is the way to go, turn it into quick service. Open a quick service. If you see too many problems with how it's built, hey man, I got a steakhouse, but man, I'm getting killed by beef prices. Okay, so then stop being a steakhouse. Be a steakhouse and something else. I worked with a place, it was a Greek steakhouse. The brilliance of it is that they weren't necessarily doing prime cuts. Yes, they had a strip. Yes, they had a filet, but they also had like leg of lamb. They also had like shoulders and briskets and other like bistro cuts. And they did a lot of like slow roasting on the spit, like a rotisserie. So they could get more inexpensive, cheaper products and make really delicious food. And that's so much of like the Greek tradition, especially when it equates to like a steakhouse vibe. They didn't necessarily need to do the filet mignon with the béarnaise over it. They did their version of it. And guess what? The Greek concept helped them do it. My point is, there are so many ways to bend it. Stop pretending that you're the victim. If the labor model is killing you, change your model, change your concept so that you find a labor model that fits it. If you're getting killed by vendors, then you're not leveraging the relationships you have with multiple vendors. There's so many different ways out of this, but stop playing the victim. Those are the three lies that keep us trapped. Number one, revenue cures all sins. You're telling me the only way to make money is to continually grow and grow and grow and grow. It's just not realistic, especially now 24, 25, 26. We had an election year, right? And then the new administration, and there was all, ICE and all that stuff. That certainly impacted. And now we have the Iran conflict and all that's coming from that, all the uncertainty in the economy. All of that has impacted people's purchasing power. If you think that doesn't affect restaurants, it does. Most people are flat or down as compared to last year. And last year, they were flat or down from the year before. So if the only way to do it is to grow and grow and grow and grow, what do you do when you come into a stretch like this? Any sort of recessionary period, you're sunk. You have to be able to manage even in the down economies. That's the first one, right? Second one, this hustle culture. You're not impressing anybody, not the least of which your family and friends. Nobody cares. Build a restaurant that runs without you, with systems and structures to make it work no matter who's in the building. And the last one is this victimization. You are not a victim. Stop being a martyr. If the thing doesn't work, if the concept doesn't work, if this industry doesn't work, then go do something else. Again, I'm going to guess you are capable enough to make money a lot of different ways. God love you. This is hard. It doesn't have to be as hard as you're making it out to be. And if it is too hard, then life is short. Go do something else that's a little bit easier. That's it. Those are the 3 lies that are keeping you down. If any of this resonates, then we should have a conversation. I run a group coaching program called the P3 Mastermind. There's no pressure. You'll find information in the notes below. You can click, watch a quick video. Otherwise, I hope you check out a bunch of the other videos here on this channel. Tons of great stuff, all meant to help independent restaurant owners dial in profits and grow. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.